Hey film fans, welcome to CINEPRO, your ultimate hub for all movie recaps, from heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters. The series The Land of Love begins with Denise, as she gets ready in the morning to travel, quickly gathering her things, taking her bag and leaving. She passes by her sister Seema, who doesn't seem very interested in her, and then her older sister Anjali talks to her, puts on the necklace Denise had been looking for and couldn't find. Anjali is surprised that Denise decided so suddenly to travel with her boyfriend Erhan, especially since Denise has only known him for a few months, and it's unusual for him to suddenly decide to take her and introduce her to his family. Denise tells her that she sees Erhan as the ideal man and wants to travel with him to Cambodia to meet his family. Ever since she met him at the hospital where she works as a doctor, she felt he was the man of her dreams, and that's why she's excited to travel with him and be introduced to his family. Denise says goodbye to her sister Anjali and leaves, going down to Erhan, who is waiting for her outside. They are both very happy, and Erhan ties her sneaker laces for her. At that moment, her sister Seema sees them from the balcony, and it's clear that she feels jealous or upset. Denise gets in the car with Erhan, curious to meet his family. We then move to Erhan's family. At that time, his grandfather Mr. Hakim is with his wife Henzi, taking the family for a walk in the market where everyone respects him greatly. We see Erhan's mother, Mrs. Ginul, with her two sons, Jamal and Jihan. At that moment, the bodyguard Bermando informs Mr. Hakim that his grandson Erhan is coming by plane, and he learns that Erhan booked 2 tickets and is coming with a girl, and also booked a hotel room. Mr. Hakim is surprised and orders Bermando to go to the airport to pick up Erhan and bring him to meet him personally. Then Mr. Hakim continues on his way and goes to Mr. Ashraf's house. Mr. Ashraf has a big family and is Mr. Hakim's business partner. After greeting, Mr. Ashraf asks to speak with him privately. He brings up the topic of his daughter Lal and reminds him of his promise that Erhan would marry his daughter. He says the marriage has been delayed. Lal is attached to Erhan, and it's better to know if Mr. Hakim will go back on his word now. Mr. Hakim assures him that he still stands by his promise, and that tonight Erhan himself will propose to Lal. When Lal hears this, she is happy and excited because she has loved Erhan since they were young. At the same time, Erhan and Denise arrive at the airport, where bodyguards Bermando and Farhat greet Erhan. Denise sees Farhat bending to kiss Erhan's hand, but Erhan stops him and tells him to shake hands normally. Bermando tells Erhan that his grandfather urgently wants to see him. Erhan asks Denise to go with Farhat, who will take her to her hotel room, while he goes to meet his grandfather and will return to her later. Denise is a bit surprised by the way the guards treat Erhan, and how much they respect him. She gets in the private car with Farhat, who takes her to her, and he takes her to the hotel room. We go to Mr. Hakim's house, and see Jamal, Erhan's brother, and his wife Rosa. We also see his brother Shihan and his disabled son Kaan. We notice that the relationship between them is not good. At that time Erhan arrives, and kisses his grandfather's hand, and asks him about the reason for summoning his disability from the airport in this way. Hakim tells him that he had to bring him to confirm the rumor he heard, and asks him if he is in a relationship with a strange woman and brought her with him. Erhan tells him that this is true and that he brought his lover with him to introduce them to her. At that time Denise is with Farhat, and he takes her to her very luxurious hotel room. Farhat tells her that he will wait outside her room in case she needs anything. Denise is surprised to find that he really is waiting outside to serve her if needed. Back to Hakim. He is talking to his grandson Erhan, and the conversation gets heated. Erhan insists that he does not love Lal, and will never propose to her because he sees her as a sister, nothing more. Janul, his mother, intervenes and argues with him, saying it's in the family's best interest for him to marry Lal. Erhan is not convinced, and says he won't do anything he doesn't want to do. Hakim gets angry, and tells him his final decision is for Erhan to propose to Lal, but Erhan tells them he brought the girl he wants to marry, Denise, and they can either accept her into the family or lose him forever. Mr. Hakim kicks him out, and Erhan leaves. His brother Jamal follows him, trying to convince him for the sake of the family, but Erhan doesn't listen and leaves. Meanwhile, Denise is on the phone with her sister Anjali, still surprised by everything that has happened since they arrived at the airport, but she is optimistic and hopeful that meeting Erhan's family will go well. After Anjali hangs up, she opens the door to find their cousin Tufan, and she is shocked because she didn't know he had been released from prison. Tufan enters the apartment without permission, asking where his cousin Denise is because he wants to see her. When Seema tells him Denise is with her boyfriend traveling, Tufan gets angry and yells because he loves her and thinks she belongs to him. Anjali threatens to call the police, so Tufan gets scared, leaves, and vows this matter will not end well. Back to Janul, Erhan's mother, She calls Lal and lies, telling her Erhan is sick today and they will postpone their visit. Lal is a bit disappointed because she had gotten ready for the visit, and tells her father Mr. Ashraf and her brother Shinayan that Janul called and said Erhan is sick. Her father comforts her, assuring her that if it doesn't happen today it will happen tomorrow or the day after. All this time Denise is in her room waiting for Erhan to come to her, feeling bored and restless, so she leaves the room. Farhat tells her he must accompany and guard her as ordered, so they go out together to stroll around the tourist village. Denise then sits at a hotel restaurant table, where Janul comes to sit with her, and introduces herself. Denise is very excited to finally meet her, but Janul shocks her by saying her son is engaged to another girl. Denise is stunned as Janul tells her she will give her money to compensate for the time she spent with Erhan, and that she has booked her a return ticket so she can catch her flight. Janul directly asks her to leave her son's life for the family's sake to avoid conflicts with Mr. Ashraf's family. Denise gets up without responding and leaves, clearly shocked by her first meeting with Erhan's mother. At the same time, Hakim is scolding Jihan, Erhan's older brother, blaming him for being lazy in managing the business and not fulfilling his duties as the eldest brother. Mr. Hakim feels Jihan is not up to the responsibility, which upsets Jihan, so he leaves. Hasi, his grandfather's wife, follows him and calls out to him, trying to calm him down when he gets agitated, and tells him not to raise his voice while he insults his grandfather so that no one hears. From their conversation, we understand that there is a secret relationship between them, and that's why Hans asks him to endure this treatment until they achieve what they want. At that moment, Jihan calms down and is convinced. Meanwhile, Farhad calls Erhan and tells him that his mother, Janul, met Denise first, and then Denise went to the airport to travel. Erhan rushes to the airport and catches Denise before she boards the plane. He tries to stop her, and since Denise is upset, he tries to explain to her that it was his mother who promised Mr. Ashraf that he would marry his daughter, but he loves Denise and went against his mother's wishes and refused to propose to her daughter. He surprises Denise by proposing to her in the middle of the airport, kneeling down and assuring her that she is the one he loves and doesn't want anyone else. Denise accepts when she feels he is sincere, and he promises her that he will always be by her side, and they are both happy. But at that moment, someone from the airport calls Sinan, Mr. Ashraf's son, and tells him that he just saw Erhan proposing to another woman, and he sends him a video. When Sinan sees the video, he gets very angry because Erhan broke his promise to his family. He goes to his father Ashraf, who is sitting with Lal, tells them what happened, and shows them the video. When Lal sees it, she is shocked and collapses. Mr. Ashraf starts thinking about what to do and how to take revenge on Erhan's family. That night, late at night, Bermando wakes up Mr. Hakim and tells him that the orchards and fields are burning. Indeed, all the crops are burning due to arson. At that moment, Mr. Haim realizes that Ashraf's family has started the war. He asks his two grandchildren, Jahan and Jamal, how they will respond to this blow. He tells them that he will know how to take the appropriate revenge. The next morning, Erhan is sitting with Denise at the hotel restaurant, when Bermando comes and tells them they both must meet Mr. Haim immediately. They are surprised that he wants to see them together. They go to meet him and see the fields after they have all burned down. Mr. Haim tells them that he won't let Ashraf's blow pass without a response, and that he will retaliate at the right time. Erhan wants to take revenge as soon as possible, but his grandfather assures him that their revenge won't be through violence, but by the two of them getting married out of spite for Ashraf's family. They are surprised when he tells them he agrees to their marriage and that their engagement will be the next day, and the wedding will be as soon as possible. This is his final decision. On the same day, Anzali and Seema arrive at the airport, and Denise goes with Erhan to receive them. We see Seema secretly calling her cousin Tufan and telling him that Denise's engagement to Erhan is today. That night, the engagement party happens, and we see Seema contacting her cousin Tufan again and telling him the location and that the wedding will be the next day. Tufan is shocked because he is in love with Denise and can't allow anyone else to take her from him. He swears that the wedding will not happen. The next day is the wedding day. We see Denise leaving her room in the hotel and asking Farad to fix her shoe because the heel broke. She returns to the room with her sister Anzali, and then the door knocks. Anzali opens the door and finds Tufan in front of her. They both panic and are very scared. Tufan threatens them and yells at Denise, telling her that the wedding must not happen. Anzali grabs a knife, threatens him and injures his hand, forcing him to leave the room. But Tufan warns Denise that he won't let her marry anyone else but him and leaves. Meanwhile, Lal is devastated and crying because she can't bear the thought of Erhan marrying another woman. She has dreamed her whole life of being his wife, and she's dying of jealousy and is very emotional. Jahan is talking to Hans, his grandfather's wife, who tells him that he must behave well after his brother Erhan's marriage, so that the family business management will be in his hand. He must find a way to keep his brother Jamal away, because his grandfather favors him. Hans gets closer to him, and at that moment, Jamal sees them together. He is shocked to discover their relationship. He yells at them and curses them. Jahan follows Jamal and tries to stop him, begging him not to tell anyone. Jamal is very angry, but at that moment, Erhan calls them. They both pretend nothing is wrong, and Erhan asks them to come because the wedding is about to start. Jamal tells Jahan that he will deal with him after the wedding and leaves. Jahan and Hans are both very scared. Denise leaves her hotel room and goes down the stairs to Erhan, who is waiting for her with the wedding procession. She decides to hide the issue with her cousin Tufan, so as not to ruin the wedding. They get in the car and leave. At Mr. Ashraf's house, he is shocked to find his daughter Lal unconscious in her room because she tried to harm herself. They panic and call for someone to get an ambulance. He finds the note Lal wrote, saying she did this because she can't live her life without Erhan. We go to the wedding at Mr. Haim's house. Jamal is at the wedding, preoccupied with what he saw. His brother's betrayal with his grandfather's wife. His wife, Rosa, notices he is distracted and asks if he is okay. He assures her he is fine but has something important to do after the wedding. The bride and groom appear amid applause, and the wedding ceremony begins. Afterwards, they dance together, with Jamal's brother and his wife Rosa dancing beside them. Hans tells Jahan that she will handle things and find a solution to their predicament. At that moment, we see Khans in a distant place aiming a rifle at the person dancing with Denise. He shoots at him and hits him, but the surprise is that the person who was dancing with Denise is Samal, who switched places with his brother Erhan. Denise is shocked when she finds him falling dead, and everyone gathers around him in a state of shock. At that very moment, his wife Rosa goes into labor from the shock and is about to give birth. They rush Samal to the hospital, and at the same time his wife is about to deliver. They take both of them in together, side by side in the hospital. Rosa, crying, begs him not to leave her and to wait to see his son. They are separated and both taken into the operating rooms. Samal is in critical condition, and the doctors are trying to save him, while at the same time Rosa is giving birth, screaming his name. Unfortunately, at that moment, Samal dies at the same time his son is born. The doctor comes out to inform them of the death, and his mother can't believe it, collapsing and screaming, blaming Denise for everything that happened, saying she is the reason her son died, and that she brings bad luck. They try to calm her down, but she has a nervous breakdown. At that moment, Anzal takes Denise with her, and they leave the hospital. We see him trying to hold himself together after the death of his grandson Samal, but at that time Rosa locks herself in the room with her husband Samal's body, and refuses to open the door for anyone. She holds her newborn son and tells him that his father is sleeping now, and that they will wait until he wakes up. She is in denial and can't believe he is dead, and won't raise their son with her. The family is forced to postpone the burial to the next day, and this is Mr. Haim's decision. The next morning, she agrees to open the door, and allows them to bury her husband Samal. Indeed, Samal is buried that day. At the same time, Anzal is with her sister Denise in the hotel room, trying to convince her that after what happened, Erhan's family will never accept her among them. But Denise doesn't want to believe it, and thinks Erhan will definitely come to her, as she has no fault in what happened. She cries and says she is sure Erhan will come for her, and that she will wait. We see Ms. Hakim talking to the police investigator, accusing Ashraf's family, but the officer tells him there is no evidence, and that they will check the cameras and footage. However, he informs them that they have a suspect, and shows them photos of Tufan, saying he is Denise's cousin, is known to be obsessed with her, follows her everywhere, and some people even heard him threatening that he would get rid of Erhan and not allow this marriage to happen. The family is shocked when they hear this, and Janail tells her son Erhan that her heart always felt Denise was behind this. Even Erhan himself is shocked, so he goes to Denise in the hotel room. Denise hugs him, thinking he finally came for her, but is surprised when he yells at her for hiding the issue of her cousin Tufan, and that he was stalking her. Denise tries to defend herself, telling him she didn't tell him that Tufan came to her before the wedding because she didn't want to ruin it, and she begs him to believe her because she didn't know this would happen. But Erhan refuses, leaves her, and walks. Denise cries, unable to believe Erhan would abandon her like this. We see Erhan later in the car, angry and seemingly reconsidering, feeling regret for leaving Denise. That's why we see him later entering his family's house with Denise, and we understand he went back for her and brought her with him. Janil, his mother, asks what brought this girl here, and wants to kick her out, but Erhan says she is his wife, and she will stay where he is. At that moment, Everyone is shocked because they consider Denise responsible for Samal's death, especially Rosa, Samal's wife, who is angry with her and feels Samal died because of her, saying if it weren't for the wedding, none of this would have happened. But Arhan assures her Denise has no fault and there's no need to direct their anger at her. Arhan surprises them by saying his marriage to Denise won't be a real marriage, and he won't touch her until they find the criminal. Denise looks at him in disbelief that he said that, but Janul continues talking about Denise, saying she is bad luck, and her son Samal died because of her. Rosa wants Mr. Hakim to kick her out, but Mr. Hakim says he won't kick anyone out, and that Denise is now a member of the family. Later, when they are alone, Denise talks to Arhan, surprised by his decision, but Arhan yells at her saying he makes decisions for the family's best interest. Denise gets upset, feeling he is marginalizing her, but he tells her it's his decision and leaves her. After a while, the maid comes to take Denise to her room, as ordered by her mother-in-law Janil. Denise is surprised when the maid takes her to a room below, among the servants' rooms. She is surprised she will stay in this room and not in her husband Arhan's room. So she decides to confront her mother-in-law and tells her she knows she gave her the servants' room because she doesn't accept her in the family, but she doesn't want their relationship to be bad and tries to convince her she is sad about what happened. But Janil tells her she is the last person she would share her grief with and that her marriage to Arhan will only last for a short time, because every time Arhan looks at her he will remember his brother died because of her. She brings out the divorce papers and asks Denise to sign them if she has any dignity. Denise feels insulted, takes the divorce papers, leaves, and goes down the stairs wanting to leave the house. But Farhat stops her because those are his orders. At that moment she gets a call from Enzil, answers, and hides what she is going through, telling her she is happy in the house, got a big room and is comfortable there, then ends the call. But her sister Enzil feels she is hiding something, and indeed we see Denise crying at that moment. When Arhan returns home later, he asks about Denise and finds out his mother gave her the servants' room. He is surprised by his mother's behavior but doesn't say anything to her. He goes down to Denise's room, tells her he just found out what happened, takes her by the hand and goes upstairs with her. In front of his mother he defiantly says Denise is his wife and will stay with him in his room. He takes her upstairs and tells her she will sleep on the bed while he sleeps in the side room, because of the vow he made to his family. He tells her their marriage will remain unreal until they find the criminal. Denise notices a wound on his hand and wants to treat it, reminding him she is a doctor and his wound shouldn't get infected. She brings first aid and starts to bandage his wound. But after a while they have an argument when Denise tells him there's no need to look for Tufan himself and he should let the police handle it. Arhan gets angry, saying the one who died is his brother and he will take revenge. He also reminds her that Samal was dancing with her in his place at the wedding and was probably the target at that moment, dying in his place. Denise then asks him if he feels guilty for deciding to marry her, and when Arhan doesn't answer, Denise understands his answer from his silence. She leaves him and goes into the side room, and we see her crying alone. Meanwhile, Arhan leaves the room, and during this time we see Tufan going to introduce himself to Sanan, the son of Mr. Ashraf. He tells him that their enemy is mutual and it would be better if they cooperate, as he might be able to offer them useful services. After that, Sanan takes Tufan to meet his father Ashraf, and Tufan tells him that he wants to kidnap his relative Denise and leave the country. Mr. Ashraf agrees to help him, and says he also wants revenge on Arhan after his daughter Lal tried to harm herself. As for Arhan, he returns late at night and finds Denise still awake. He asks her to go sleep on the bed and says he'll sleep on the couch in the other room. It's clear that Denise is upset with him. Then we move to Mr. Hakim's room with his wife Hanzi, and she brings up the topic of inheritance. She learns from him that he will let Arhan manage the family business after him because he considers Jihan not responsible enough. This of course is against what Hanzi wants. So she tries to convince Mr. Hakim not to rush his decision. She puts him to bed, sends a message to Jihan to meet her, and goes to him. She asks him to stay strong in the coming period and show his grandfather that he is responsible. But Jihan, who is drinking, replies that he won't do anything. Suddenly, Hanzi asks him if he planned the death of Jamal's brother. He looks at her, surprised by such a question, and yells at her. Hanzi silences him and says it was just a question. Then he asks her if she did it, but she quickly denies having any hand in it and says she could never do such a thing. She tries to get him to focus on their goal, asking him to stop drinking and be strong before his grandfather writes his will. She leaves him and goes. The next day, Denise doesn't find Arhan in his bed because he is in the room of Rosa, Jamal's deceased brother's wife, holding her baby and checking on her. After a while, Lal comes to the house to offer condolences, and checks on Arhan without prior notice. Denise sees Lal with Arhan, and Arhan tries to be kind to her and assures her that he always sees her as a sister. He introduces his wife Denise to Lal. Lal extends her hand to greet Denise, who shakes her hand despite knowing that Lal loves her husband. Afterwards, Lal offers her condolences to Arhan, and Denise is surprised by Lal's appearance and her words, which hint that she was always close to Arhan and couldn't leave him at a time like this. Denise can't stand her words and goes to the kitchen for a drink, and Lal follows her, provocatively telling her that she knows Arhan better than she does since they were kids. Denise replies saying she understands her games and won't let her come between her and Arhan. Lal arrogantly tells her that someone like her doesn't belong in this family and that she took her place, but the time will come and things will be corrected. Arhan comes in at that moment, so they hide the tension between them. Then they hear the voice of Mr. Ashraf at the gate, yelling because his daughter Lal came without his knowledge. They go out to see what he wants, and Ashraf orders his daughter to come with him. Lal obeys and leaves, and before Ashraf leaves, he warns Mr. Hakim not to disrespect his family while they are in mourning. The next day, Mr. Hakim calls Arhan and asks him to come to the company. Arhan asks Denise for permission, and goes. In the office, Mr. Hakim shows him security camera footage where Tufan appears entering the wedding venue, which is proof that Tufan is the criminal who killed Jamal. He tells Arhan he won't give the footage to the police, and that they will find Tufan themselves. Meanwhile, Denise returns home and calls her sister Anzali, who tells her they are traveling and will return that day. Denise decides to go see them before they leave the hotel and travel. When Seema finds out Denise is coming, she goes out and calls her cousin Tofan to tell him the news. Back to Denise, she wants to leave the house and the guards allow her on the condition that they accompany her. Denise leaves and gets into the car, but there's traffic, so she decides to get out and walk the rest of the way. At that moment, Seema receives a message from Tofan which her sister Anzali sees. Anzali confronts her with the message and is shocked to realize Seema told Tofan where they were staying. Anzali gets angry at her. Seema breaks down and confesses, and Anzali tries to call Denise to warn her, but her phone is off. Meanwhile, Denise is walking in the market, and because of the crowd, Bermondo loses track of her while following her. Suddenly, Tofan appears, puts a drugged handkerchief on her, and takes her away. When Bermondo can't find Denise, he goes to her sister Anzali's hotel room and learns she hasn't arrived yet. He calls Arhan and tells him what happened. Arhan rushes to the hotel and finds out that Seema told Tofan Denise was on her way. At that time, Denise wakes up to find herself with Tofan. Tofan gets a call from Seema, answers, and assures her Denise is with him. We see that Seema is talking to him while Arhan and Anzali are next to her, listening to the call. Seema asks what he will do with Denise, and he says he will take her to a place where no one will find them. Arhan recognizes Seema's voice in the call and decides to search around the river before it's too late. They drive off and call Bermondo, who says he was able to pinpoint Tofan's location because someone saw him. But when Arhan and his men arrive, they don't find him and guess that he moved and probably took a boat on the river. Indeed, at that time, Tofan is taking Denise with him on the boat. Denise tries to untie her hands without him noticing. Tofan tells her they will disappear for a while and get married, and no one will be able to stop them this time. At the same time, Arhan and his men are searching everywhere around the river and the marina. Tofan reaches the shore with Denise, takes her out, but Denise pushes him and runs away. He chases her, catches her, and threatens to kill her if she doesn't obey. At that moment, Arhan appears, hits him, and grabs the gun from his hand. Denise begs Arhan not to commit a crime. At that moment, the police arrive, intervene, and arrest Tofan. Arhan reassures Denise that she's okay, and her sister Anzali arrives and hugs her. Denise returns with Arhan to their room and tries not to make him upset because she went out alone, claiming she feels isolated in the house and none of his family talks to her. Arhan tells her she doesn't listen, which causes their problems, and without thinking, he says it seems his mother Janul was right, and they rushed into marriage. Denise is shocked and decides to take out the divorce papers and sign them. She knows that his mother gave her this divorce paper, that she carried out her wish and signed it, and she leaves without listening to his response. Outside, she passes by Janul, who signals to the guards to open the gate and let her out. Denise leaves, feeling humiliated, and walks away. Arhan, on the other hand, grabs the divorce paper, upset with his mother, and goes out to confront her about what she did, asking her for the last time not to interfere between him and his wife. Meanwhile, Denise returns to the hotel and talks to her sister Seema, confronting her about what she did, and telling her that she put up with her actions for years, that she was always jealous and tried to hurt her for no reason, and wants to know why she resents her so much. She yells at her, and their sister Anzali comes out because of the noise. Denise tells them she got divorced, leaves them and goes to her room. At that time, Arhan gets a call from the police investigator, who tells him that Tofan claims Denise went with him of her own will, and that he didn't kidnap her. The police investigator then enters the interrogation room to confront Tufan with the camera footage. Tufan gets nervous and asks for a lawyer. We move to Seema, who is on the road at night, wanting to stop a car to give her a ride after leaving her two sisters at the hotel. Two harassers bother her, but by coincidence, Sinan passes by in his car, sees them while driving, stops, gets out, and protects her even though he doesn't know her. Sima decides to get into Sinan's car. After Sinan drives the harassers away, he asks her to get out, but she asks him to take her because she can't be left on the road like that. Sinan agrees to drive her to the beginning of the road, but when they get there he finds she has fallen asleep, so he keeps driving. He stops at a bridge, gets out of the car, takes a rifle from the trunk, and throws it into the river to get rid of it. He returns to the car, and Sima wakes up. He tells her he was just resting for a bit on the bridge, and will continue there. He then drops her off at the hotel and asks her name before she gets out, introduces himself as well, and Sima says goodbye and enters the hotel. We go back to Tufan, who is being interrogated the next day. He says he did enter the wedding venue, but the guards at the gate didn't let him in, so he left and went to a henna party instead. He suggests they check the surveillance cameras at the henna party to confirm his story. The police confirm Tufan was at the henna party, which means he didn't kill Jamal. However, Tufan still faces another charge, kidnapping Denise, and Denise's testimony in court will be crucial to his conviction. At this time, we see Arhan going to Denise at the hotel to reconcile, but he learns she went to the airport with her sisters. He rushes to the airport, running to catch her, but finds the plane has already taken off. He stands, watching the plane sadly, then goes to the courtroom and sits with his family to wait. When Tufan enters, he looks at Mr. Hakim as they take him past them, and the trial begins. They are surprised when Tufan's lawyer says Denise will change her testimony. They are shocked to hear this, and then Denise enters the courtroom. We learn that Mr. Hakim called Denise before her flight, and asked her not to get on the plane and to come instead. Denise begins to give her testimony, looking at Mr. Hakim. We learn that Mr. Hakim asked her an hour earlier to go to court and change her statement, explaining that he spoke to Tufan and made a deal with him to find out who the real criminal is in exchange for Denise changing her testimony. Denise does change her testimony in court, saying that Tufan did not kidnap her, and that she went with him of her own free will. Arhan doesn't understand why she's doing this. Out of anger, he gets up and leaves the courtroom. Outside he gets angry with her, doesn't give her a chance to defend herself, accuses her of dishonor, and tells her she must have been involved with her cousin Tufan, and that's why she's protecting him. Denise is hurt by this, and leaves. Later we see Fernando with Tufan in the car to meet Mr. Hakim. Meanwhile, Erhan learns from Shihan's brother what their grandfather did. Shihan, being cunning and wanting to create conflict between Erhan and their grandfather, exploits the situation and tells Erhan that their grandfather is meeting Tufan at the farmhouse. At that time Tufan is indeed with Mr. Hakim, telling him that when he left the wedding, he saw a red car with someone getting out carrying a rifle case, but he didn't notice who it was or the car's number. He tells Mr. Hakim he has fulfilled their agreement, gets up to leave, but Fernando stops him. Mr. Hakim tells him he will remain detained until they verify his story and find the red car. At that moment Erhan bursts in and attacks Tufan, beating him. They pull him away and Mr. Hakim shouts at him, explaining that he had to release Tufan to find the real criminal. Erhan replies that this move made him lose his wife after accusing her of dishonor, and he leaves. Back at the family home, Rosa is upset and angry at what Mr. Hakim did, because he made Denise change her testimony and got Tufan released. So she goes to Ms. Hakim's office without his knowledge, opens the drawer, takes out a box and pulls out a gun. At night she goes to the place where Tufan is being held, sneaks in past the guards, enters Tufan's room with the gun raised. Tufan tries to calm her down, quickly grabs the gun, fights with her to take it, manages to get the gun and leaves, holding Rosa hostage and threatening the guards that he'll kill her. The guards get scared, lower their weapons and let him out. Tufan pushes Rosa away and escapes. When Mr. Hakim finds out what happened, he is shocked and has a heart attack, and is taken to the hospital. At that time Erhan is with Denise, trying to get her to forgive him and asking her for another chance, promising he won't act impulsively again, and will listen to her first. Then they hear that Mr. Hakim was taken to the hospital, so they rush there. The family waits for the doctor to come out and reassure them. Ginal keeps blaming Denise as usual, and Erhan asks her to stop because it's not the right time. The doctor comes out and reassures them that Mr. Hakim's condition is stable, so they feel relieved. The doctor says Mr. Hakim specifically asked for Denise to come in and speak to him. Denise enters and talks to Mr. Hakim, who apologizes to her for asking her to change her testimony in court, which caused her relationship with Erhan to suffer. He promises her that he will step in and fix things, and will also make sure to protect her from Tufan since he escaped from them. The next day, Mr. Hakim returns home and asks Denise to support him along with his wife Henzi. They enter his room, and Denise, being a doctor, takes care of him, telling him what he can and cannot eat. Mr. Hakim shows Ginal that he welcomes Denise very much at that time. Tufan goes to Mr. Ashraf and his son Sinan and asks them to help him. Ashraf tells him they've helped him before and that's enough, but Tufan tells them he still has many services he can offer. Mr. Ashraf becomes interested and listens, while at the same time, Lal sees her father talking to Tufan. She wants to leave and go to the Erhan family house, but her father stops her and decides to lock her in her room because she refuses to get Erhan out of her mind and insists on going to him. He takes her to her room, locks the door and leaves her inside. He then goes to Erhan, who learns from Barmanda that Tufan went to Mr. Ashraf's house. Erhan decides to go there with his men to catch him. Erhan arrives and enters Mr. Ashraf's house without permission, calls out for Tufan, and yells at him. Ashraf talks to him and denies that Tufan is there, and to provoke him, tells him he wasn't the one who asked his wife Denise to change her testimony and clear Tufan. Erhan tries to control his anger upon hearing this, and leaves because he didn't find Tufan there. But then he is surprised to find Lal hiding in his car. She tells him she ran away from her father because he locked her up, and asks Erhan to take her with him. Erhan doesn't know what to do. We go to Anzli, who at that time is talking to her sister Seema. As usual, Seema tells her she cares too much about Denise, as if she were her own daughter, and that because of her, they are attached to this town, unsure whether they will travel or stay. Seema's words affect Anzli and make her recall memories, revealing a big truth. Denise is actually her daughter whom she gave birth to, but kept it a secret. We see her mother in the past, holding baby Denise and warning her to never show anyone she is her daughter, and that they must continue pretending she's her sister in front of people so no one discovers her scandal. This is the secret she's hiding from Denise and everyone. Back to the present, we go to Mr. Hakim's room as he informs Jihan of his decision. Erhan will take over the family business until he recovers his health. Jihan is shocked by the decision, because he considers himself more deserving of running the company, having worked for many years with him. Unlike Erhan, he wants to know why Hakim prefers Erhan over him and cannot accept the decision. His mother, Jinal, asks him not to respond to his grandfather that way, but Jihan gets upset and leaves the room, followed by his mother. She tries to calm him down and we learn he once drank and had an accident that killed his wife and left his son in a wheelchair. He feels everyone always blames him for what happened and never sees him as responsible. His mother tells him not to think this way, to take care of himself, quit drinking and that things will get better. Jihan tells her she will never see him or love him like Erhan, then leaves the house. After that, we see Erhan arriving home with Lal. Denise sees them and is upset. Erhan follows her and tries to explain what happened, but of course Denise feels jealous and annoyed by Lal's presence in the house. Later, Lal goes to talk to Denise and tells her she will live here now after leaving her family home, and says provocatively that after Erhan divorces her, she'll take care of him. Denise replies that this won't happen because her relationship with Erhan is good and they'll never leave each other. When she turns around, she finds Erhan standing behind her, having heard everything. She goes to her room and Erhan follows her. To prove his love, he takes out the divorce paper, tears it up, and promises that once he finds the criminal who killed her brother, he will make it up to her for everything. He hugs her, and their relationship is restored. Just then, there's a knock at the door. Erhan goes out to talk to Barmanda and learns they found the red car. Erhan and Barmanda go to see it, but as they approach, the car suddenly explodes, and the only evidence they were chasing is gone. Erhan realizes it was a trap set by Tufan to kill him, and swears that when he finds him, he won't spare him. The next day, the family gathers for breakfast, with Deniz having cooked herself. Jinal and Lal say they have no appetite, but Arhan tells them to sit with them even if they don't eat, so they join the table. While eating, Deniz tells Arhan she will work at the hospital today, because her colleague told her they are short on doctors. Jinal intervenes, saying it's not suitable for someone from the family, and Mr. Hakim agrees. Deniz says it's her decision and what she wants to do. Arhan supports his wife's decision, and Deniz gets Mr. Hakim's approval to work at the hospital. She leaves with Arhan to drop her off. The family continues breakfast, and we see Jihan's son Jen directing his words at Lal, asking why she's in the house after causing conflicts between their families. Jihan tells him not to speak rudely again, but Jen stubbornly responds. Jihan gets angry and goes after his son to discipline him. In the room, Jan challenges him to hit him while he's in the wheelchair and tells him he caused the accident that killed his mother. He also reveals he knows about his father's secret relationship with his grandfather's wife, shocking his father. At that moment, Jinal hears them from outside but doesn't understand the relationship Jan is talking about. Jihan leaves the room and sees her, asks her not to go into his son because he's punishing him by locking him up, and leaves. Jinal tries to understand what she heard and begins to suspect there might be a relationship between Jihan and someone in the house, piecing things together and suspecting that person might be Hanzi. Meanwhile, we see Anjali walking with her sister Seema in the market. By chance, Anjali sees a man she thinks is Khalil, her lover and Deniz's father. She is stunned to see him getting into his car and leaving, as she never imagined she would see him again. At the same time, Jihan is driving when cars block his way. He gets out to see what they want and finds Mr. Ashraf and his son Sinan. Ashraf tells him it's time for them to talk. At that moment, Deniz is at the hospital, enters the director's office, and is surprised to find the hospital director is Khalil. Neither of them recognizes the other. She doesn't know he's her father, and he doesn't know she's his daughter. Meanwhile, Jinal enters the room to talk to her grandson Jan about what she heard. Jan tries to avoid the subject, but she insists he tell her the truth. When Jan confirms there is a relationship between his father and his grandfather's wife, Jinal is deeply shocked. We return to Jihan, who at that time is listening to Mr. Ashraf tries to offer a deal to Jihan behind his grandfather's back, but Jihan refuses his offer, gets up and leaves. Ashraf is surprised when Jihan tells him that he knows about the trucks carrying secret goods and that he could let his grandfather know about it. At that moment, Jihan pretends not to know what Ashraf is talking about and leaves without reaching an agreement. But he is clearly worried because he did not expect Mr. Ashraf to know about the matter. We return to Jinal, who sends for Hanzi to come speak with her in her room. As soon as Hanzi enters, Jinal surprises her and slaps her, telling her that she knows about her relationship with her son Jihan. Hanzi responds shamelessly, saying that thanks to her, Jihan is still alive because she was the only one who stood by him during his crisis. She challenges Jinal to have the courage to go to Mr. Hakim and expose them, because if that happens, Mr. Hakim will throw Jinal and her 2 children out of the house, and they will all lose. Of course, Jinal cannot carry out her threat and Jihan is shocked, hangs up on her and is angry that his mother found out. Afterwards, we see Erhan going to the family company and asking the employee for the financial reports for the whole year. She tells him she will prepare them and send them to him. Meanwhile, Jinal confronts her son Jihan, who defends himself by saying that Hanzi was the only one who cared for him and begs his mother not to tell anyone. She assures him she won't expose him because after all, he is her son, but from now on he must obey her and end his relationship with Hanzi completely. On the same night, Hanzi calls Jihan to come talk to her because he has been ignoring her and not answering her calls all day. Jihan goes to her and tells her that they must end their relationship. Of course, Hanzi does not want this and tries to get closer to him, but he firmly tells her their relationship is over and that they must move on and focus on their own lives, then leaves her and walks out. The next day, Seema coincidentally sees Sinan while she is out walking. She hides so he won't see her. At that moment, we learn that she was actually awake when she was in his car and saw him throw the rifle into the river, but she pretended to be asleep. She wants to use this information, so she searches for his social media page and sends him a message. Sinan reads the message and finds someone demanding he leave 250,000 lira in a certain place, or else the police will find out he had a rifle in his car. Sinan becomes nervous and looks around. Hanzi goes to her husband, Mr. Hakim, in their room, crying and asking him to secure her future because she feels that as soon as he dies, the family will throw her out of the house. She wants him to cancel the prenuptial agreement, so she can inherit like the rest of the family members. Mr. Hakim is not convinced and doesn't see the need for her worries. Hanzi tells him he doesn't understand her and that after all these years he's proving he never loved her. She leaves the room. Meanwhile, Erhan's secretary gives him the company's financial files, and when he reviews them, he discovers that trucks left with goods, but the financial returns were not recorded in the accounts. This means there is suspicion of embezzlement. Erhan goes to Jihan's office to ask him, but Jihan pretends he knows nothing about these records, tries to cover up and accuses their brother Jamal, saying he was responsible for the trucks and goods. Since Jamal is dead, they won't know where the money went. Erhan believes his brother because he has no reason to doubt him, but says they still need to investigate in case someone is embezzling from the company behind their backs. When Erhan leaves, we see Jihan clutching his chest, relieved he wasn't exposed. Erhan returns to his office and asks his secretary to bring him all the reports and invoices, so he can review them himself. We return to Seema, who goes to the agreed place, hides behind a tree, and waits until she sees a man arrive, put the money bag down and leave. She approaches and takes the money, but as she tries to leave she finds Sinan in front of her, having set a trap. She raises her voice and threatens to scream if he does anything to her. But Sinan calms her down and tells her he didn't kill Jamal if that's what she thought. He explains that he did buy a rifle from someone after his sister tried to hurt herself to get revenge on Erhan, but changed his mind, got rid of the rifle and threw it in the river so no one would find it with him. Seema believes him and asks him to take her to a restaurant because she's hungry. At the restaurant, Sinan talks to her and gets to know her better, liking her personality. He is surprised when Sana tells him she is Denez's sister, Erhan's wife, something he didn't know. We leave them and go to Mr. Haim, who enters the room and talks to Hanzi, who is still showing that she is sad and insecure about her future in the house. He surprises her by telling her that he called the lawyer and cancelled the prenuptial agreement, meaning she will inherit after his death. Hanzi is overjoyed and at that moment receives a call from Jahan. She goes out to answer and Jahan tells her that Erhan is reviewing the company files and will definitely discover the embezzlement and expose him. At the same time, Barmando is passing by the company and hears Jahan saying he will go to the farmhouse and asks Hanzi to meet him there. Barmando doesn't know who Jahan is talking to but hears him say he's going to the farmhouse. That same day we see Ainzi going to the hospital to meet Denez. When she sees Denez standing with her father Khalil, she is shocked and tries to avoid being seen, quickly leaves, takes the elevator and calls Denez to say she can't meet her. After that, the secretary gives the financial files to Mr. Hakim as Erhan requested. Mr. Hakim takes the files to see what's in them and is shocked when he learns about the trucks that left with Jahan's signature. He calls Barmando to ask about Jahan's whereabouts. Barmando tells him he heard Jahan say he was going to the farmhouse. Mr. Hakim decides to go there and confront him himself. At that time, Hanzi arrives at the farmhouse where Jahan is. She tells him that Mr. Hakim cancelled the marriage agreement and that she will inherit just like any other family member. And now it's time for her to do without him, just as he once told her he didn't need her. Jahan approaches her and asks if she could really do without him. Mr. Hakim arrives at the farmhouse at that moment, enters and finds Jahan close to Hanzi, trying to seduce her. Mr. Hakim is shocked by the scene and suffers a heart attack. He tries to take his medicine from his pocket, but it falls from his hand. Jahan quickly moves to help him and give him the medicine, but Hanzi stops him. He looks at her and understands what she means. This is because now it is in both their interests to let him die and indeed she makes him stop giving him the medicine, leaving him to suffer and be in pain. Jahan watches his grandfather suffer until he closes his eyes, which affects him, and Hanzi hugs him to comfort him as he cries. At that moment they hear Barmando knocking on the door. Hanzi tells him to pretend to be surprised in front of Barmando about his grandfather's death. She takes the financial files with her and leaves through the back door, while Jahan opens the door for Barmando and pretends to be shocked because his grandfather died. Barmando rushes in to check on him, then turns to Jahan and tells him that his grandfather still has a pulse and is alive, and that he will call an ambulance. Jahan is shocked because he thought he was dead, and this is a disaster for Jahan and Hanzi because Mr. Hakim Al-Ofa will expose them. We then go to the family at the hospital, and Denunzi enters the room to check with the doctor, then comes out and informs them that Mr. Hakim is still alive. Then Dr. Khalil comes out and tells them that Mr. Hakim's condition is unstable and he might fall into a coma, so everyone is scared and worried about him. Erhan asks Barmando why his grandfather went to the farmhouse, and Barmando tells them he went there to meet Jahan. Erhan then talks to Jahan and asks him what happened, and Jahan says that as soon as his grandfather entered, he showed signs of fatigue and had an attack. Of course, in this situation, Jahan and Hanzi are very anxious, and they don't want Mr. Hakim to survive. Jahan leaves the hospital feeling anxious and Hanzi follows him, trying to calm him down. She tells him that Mr. Hakim will surely die because if he survives, they will go to jail, and he must think carefully before ruining everything. That night passes and the next day we see Janal talking to her son Jahan privately. She tells him that she has decided to marry him to Lal. Jahan is surprised, but she tells him that this is her final decision and he must obey her because she knows what's best for him. She enforces her will on him, gathers them with Lal, and they agree to the marriage. Lal doesn't want her father Ashraf to know about it until after the marriage contract is signed and he is faced with a fait accompli, because if he finds out he will certainly prevent it. Jahan is not happy about it, but listens to his mother and lets her do what she wants. On that day we see Hanzi going to a mountainous area and calling someone named Kihan, her brother. She tells him she needs someone else killed urgently, this time her husband in the hospital, because if he wakes up everything she did will be lost. Jahan agrees and says he will do it gladly. just as he killed Jamal before, he will kill her old husband. We then see Danun's when she finds out that Lal is marrying Jahan, and naturally she suspects her intentions. Later, Lal comes to her room, brazenly asks about Erhan, and provokes her as usual, telling her that Erhan will be hers in the end. Danun's tells her that she is a sick person, knows her intentions well and will not allow her to carry out her evil plan. But Lal says she is sure Erhan will choose her over Danun's, and she will see it for herself in time. That same day at the hospital, Danun's talks to Anzi on the phone. Anzi is looking for a place to rent instead of her expensive stay at the hotel. Danun's tells her she will ask her colleagues and see if anyone can help. Danun's then talks to Dr. Khalil and asks if he knows of an apartment her sister could rent. Khalil tells her there is an empty apartment next to his, and he can give her the landlord's number to contact and rent it. Meanwhile, Erhan is in his grandfather's office and can't find the financial files. He calls the secretary and learns that she gave the files to his grandfather. Erhan then talks to Bermando and asks if his grandfather had the files when he went to the farmhouse. Bermando confirms he saw the files with his grandfather, but they disappeared afterward and were not found at the farmhouse. At that point, Erhan feels something is wrong. That day, Jahan calls Lal and asks her to come out and meet him, so he can take her in his car to a certain place. At the hospital, we see Erhan and Hanzi checking with Danun's on Mr. Hakim's condition in intensive care. At that moment, we see Hanzi's brother Kihan hiding. When Hanzi notices him, she goes to talk to him in private and asks him to be careful and come at a time when there is no guard at the room door. Jahan says he'll keep waiting for the right moment. We return to Jahan, who goes to Mr. Ashraf's house to ask for his permission to marry his daughter Lal. Of course, Mr. Ashraf tells him he does not agree. At night, we see Denise visiting Ansley in the new house she rented, not knowing that her neighbor next door is Khalil. The next day is the day of Jahan and Lal's marriage contract. They are preparing at home for the marriage contract ceremony, and Arhan insists to the guards that they must be careful, hinting that they expect Mr. Ashraf will try to prevent the marriage. But the surprise is that Mr. Ashraf comes himself, and they are worried he might do something, but he surprises them when he puts the necklace on his daughter himself and agrees to her marriage to Jahan. To understand why he changed his mind, we go back to the previous day, when Jahan visited him and told him that he would be responsible for the family after his grandfather's death, and that in this case there would be cooperation between them. Mr. Ashraf asks him how he can be sure that his daughter is not being forced to marry him, and Jahan surprises him by bringing her to ask for his permission. She tells him that she is not being forced and really wants to marry Jahan. At that moment, Mr. Ashraf tells Jahan that his only condition is that he promises to treat his daughter well, and Jahan promises to take care of her. We return the present, and we understand why Mr. Ashraf agreed to this marriage. The marriage contract ceremony begins and goes smoothly. On the same night, Khalil goes to visit his new neighbor to introduce himself, and he is shocked to find that she is Anzali. She also cannot believe it, and finally, after all these years, fate has brought them together in this situation. That same night, we see Denise leaving the intensive care unit and informing the guard, Farhat, that Mr. Hakim has woken up. She is happy and calls his wife Henzi to tell her the news. Henzi is shocked, and Denise tells her that she will come home and inform everyone. Henzi calls Jahan and asks him to meet her immediately. Jahan goes to meet her, and she tells him what happened. Jahan cannot believe that everything they have done is about to be lost like this. Henzi tells him they have to act quickly and do something before it's too late, and she tells him she has an idea but needs his help. He must intervene and distract the guard at his grandfather's room so someone can finish him off. Jahan thinks about her words and tells her he has made his decision. He surprises her by telling her that she must leave and escape from the house, and he will handle the matter alone. This is his final decision, and he will bear the consequence. Henzi cannot believe that everything between them is ending, and she cries. Jahan hugs her and tells her to run and save herself, and she listens to him and they part ways. Meanwhile, Lal goes to Arhan's room and takes advantage of the fact that he is alone. Arhan asks her to leave because her being with him in the room at this time is not appropriate. At that moment, Lal confesses to him that she will marry Jahan's brother just to be close to him, and asks why he doesn't love her even though she is devoted to him. Arhan refuses to listen to her, and Lal is affected and cries, assuring him that she will not give up hope in him. Arhan tells her she must understand that she is like a sister to him. Nothing more, but Lal is in denial and cannot accept that Arhan will not be her husband. Arhan is harsh with her so that she will leave the room, and Lal leaves, affected. A little later, Denise arrives home and tells Arhan the news. He tells her that he loves her and they share a romantic moment as the first season of the series ends. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel.